Hello boys and girls. I might not have yet arrived in the future because it's still super awkward for me to talk to a camera if some people are going by. I did a video 1, 2, 3 months ago called I think Against the Preface Skippers, where I argued against skipping the preface of books. And my brother, hello, shout out to my brother if he watches this, he said it was a very authentic video. I'm not 100% sure how he meant it, but I mean, what I can certainly agree with here is that it was spoken from my heart. I never really say anything I don't mean, and it was like a topic that was important for me, and this is another such video. So there is a million and I also want to avoid to go to some alley where there's a lot of wind. The audio is probably not great already. There's a million things I want to convey that should probably be isolated into their own videos, but then this might be... It might be better if I try to find a thread and squeeze it into this video. By the way, now it's like I'm getting into a digression, but I only recently discovered that the expression red thread, you know, there's in German ein roter Faden, that this is not an expression in a lot of countries. Like in the Nordic countries they use this, in Germany they surely use this, in Austria as well. But this basically means like the thing that ties everything together, like basically a thread, right? There's a thread, there's like a theme to it, but a little bit more stronger. Like this is like how you structure like some story, some novel, or how you stitch together things. You have a red thread. And I used this, and I would have just used this, but because some Bulgarian guy at work didn't understand it, I realized this is not actually an expression that's known everywhere. Of course, these videos are also there to give you a little bit of a Vienna vibes. So it's 2.5 minutes, and I have not really started, but I think you might still like the video. I made this video against the preface skippers. It was about books. I had like a coherent argument, at least a personal argument, and this video is also again about books. I want to start somewhere else. Dangerous street filming action. There was a long time where I would say, and you know, the essence of this, someone is coming, I have to be a little less awkward for a second here. Okay. There has been some time where I would always say that, and let me say it again. Because I first say the thing that I still think out loud, basically. Math videos and also physics videos, like science videos on YouTube, there is something missing. Like as a format, it does not really work. Like there is what has been established, what's now considered like math videos, is like original math videos, is this sort of 3 blue, 1 brown animations kind of thing, where, and this is basically critique now, like there's this guy, he made this beautiful animation library, and he goes on page 5 of some calculus textbook, where there's some implicit intuition about things, I don't know, Gaussian's base theorem, quaternions even, in some book about geometry. And then he takes like an intuition from page 5, page 10 of these books, and he turns it into beautiful animation. And then the people who don't know, who don't study math, they say, wow, this is such amazing, it's the best video ever, I wish my math teacher would be like that. But it's like, this is like a facade, because all these things are really nice to look at. You know, you see there was a video about pi and the theta function, and you have things rotating around, but you don't actually learn new information that you couldn't get if you just read the math books for like 10 minutes. It's sort of translating the obvious intuitions that nobody could argue with into some nice animation. And the animation, as I say, they are beautiful, but these videos are basically worthless. Like, oh, you know, a convolution does this. Yeah, sure. I mean, you cannot explain this in 20 minutes in a blackboard. It's the same thing. People have their intuition in their mind. There's a value to that, but this is basically not, you're not learning like higher math this way, right? And then, of course, on YouTube, you also have lecture recordings, and this is like its own thing. Recordings always existed, and now you have this like taped, and then you can watch it. It's just like sort of non-compete because it's like not innovating. It's not actually using the YouTube video format, the 1 to a million thing. It would be better if you just sat there in the first row of the lecture, and it's great that it's available to everybody if it's a good lecture. And a lot of universities pump this out. Nobody has time to watch it, sadly. There's some good content there, but it's also not really using the medium, right? So I'm actually thinking a lot about, what is this medium, math videos? Because I do my thing, which is like for convenience sake, for my convenience sake, are like one takes. I think I try to be serious about the formulas, and I go through it, but I mean, I don't put like half as much effort, not even less than half effort as some animator guy. And there are now also other good YouTubers, like, I recently discovered this guy, I think almost surely, like some older guy, quotes and quotes. I mean, he's older than me and I'm old. And there are some valuable things there. But still, like, it's not actually catchy. Like, it's good that this exists and people learn from this, but it's not really grabbing the attention of, like, I don't know how to say this. I know that there must be some format kind of stuff that you can do to make actually math videos that make sense. Like, the format has not even started to being established. Like, what the right thing to do there is. I don't know if I convey my meaning properly, but there is something missing. Like, this is not like, this video is like, it's sort of still gimmicky. Nobody has serious gain of the sciences or mathematics from YouTube videos, right? It is good so maybe it's a little bit more low effort than reading some books. You like it that there are some other people who are excited for some things, but you're not actually, like, it replaces nothing really. And there's some value in in talked conversion of math and physics, in the way things are said conveys more information than just some texts where you don't know where the emphasis is really. Like, you could read 10 papers in some math subject, some physics subject. But I talk about math in this video, but it's almost everything I say also goes for theoretical physics. You could read 10 papers and you would still have no clue how the people in the field actually think about this field, because the way the paper is written kills off all the emphasis, and people have an implicit understanding where are the hard subjects, or at least they imagine this is the way that we should research in. Sometimes you might not get that from the math text itself, because it obscures what the critical part is. Okay, that's another tangent. But in any case, so these first 10 minutes are about, I don't know how could the math video be made useful. I don't know yet. I'm working with it, on it, right? I'm not planning to expand my YouTube channel. I'm also not going to start anytime soon. But I want to know. I want to know what it is. Like there is something there. I think this medium can work. Before we jump off to the next technology and medium, we will discover how to make actually good math videos that if people get something out of. Really, like it is there. And so for the longest time, like, I had the base of this thought forever. And for the longest time, I would, I like to be unpolite to start conversations, and I would say there is no good math YouTubers. And to a degree, I still agree with that. For the reasons that I elaborated, I think there can be no good math YouTubers yet. But then there's also some people who have grown on me, and I have to say one of those people, even though there's a lot of it's not my kind of guy, but the one channel, and I'm not even subscribed to this guy because he's like does so many videos that I really don't care. But the Math Sorcerer, if you know this guy, he's this weird, I mean, no offense, weird guy who rants about his book collection, his math book collection. And I like him for several reasons. For one, he advocates, for let's say two main things. He makes his books his focus, and he's really conveying this this love for knowledge, this philosophy, literally. That doesn't really catch my meaning. But I mean, if you know some of his videos, you might know what he's genuine about how he feels about his books, and also he's not only that. He talks a little bit about behavioral stuff. He advertises going to the gym and these kind of things, or at least he makes it implicit, states it implicitly, and he's weird in the sense that he has this meme where he sniffers books, and there's something to it, but it's just weird if you open a book and audibly sniff the book and whatever, and it's kind of funny where he's aware that it's kind of weird, and I don't watch his videos much because he's despite having figured out how to go through the books, he is sort of ineffective. It doesn't seem like he prepares what he's going to say at all before he opens the books, and then he reads the abstract and then says, "Aha, wow!" And he doesn't reflect on what he doesn't have an idea how to reflect. He doesn't have an idea how to reflect in the moment on the intro, the chapters, the exercises, and then he just makes some strange short noises, and then it's over. Was just some person who looked weirdly at me, and that's exactly what I want to avoid. That's why I'm also crossing the streets all the time. I don't want to be that guy, talking to himself for 20 minutes. But he, I agree with this guy a lot in the sense that he really likes the books, and he likes the books for the book's sake. And so, firstly, I want to sort of state my admiration for this aspect of there's this guy who is genuine, feels a little bit like I also feel about it. Even if I'm not even liking the videos to the extent that I would subscribe myself, but I nevertheless agree with him. He uses the medium, maybe not to teach. He doesn't really teach. He gives a little bit more of a life advice. He has not cracked the formula. He does not make learning math he doesn't make the subject. It's he doesn't explain anything. He talks about learning itself in a meta way, and this is a good contribution. So the one thing is I want to advocate, say, this is really nice. I appreciate it. I cannot honestly say there's no good math YouTubers, because in this sense he's good, right? Even if he does not improve learning math not in any way that would be different than just a good friend of you giving you life advice. He doesn't use the medium for anything new that the medium can do. He uses the medium to have a broad audience. Okay, but why do I actually make this video? I intended it to be 6 minutes long or so, but so yesterday, and this is sort of a realization I had yesterday. My realization was that there's a lot of people who actually, and there's no problem with that, but they don't actually feel about books like that. I was talking with some guy on the interwebs. I don't know him much. I know he likes NLab, or at least he makes memes about the fact that he knows the NLab, and I will show him this video. So greetings. He seems like a cool guy. He knows some things I don't know. So I followed him, and I see some posts. He doesn't post much, but we got into a conversation yesterday where he made some joke about recursively reading books and some induction. First, I wanted to make a comment, like a more serious comment, on distinguishing induction, co-induction, and recursion. I really try to watch out from having to read some computer science text and not blend these into each other. Don't conflate recursion and induction and these kind of things. I mean, not that he did that necessarily in this sort of vague joke post, but that was the first comment. I was like, there's this thing. One has to be a little bit careful about one's language there if one wants to. But then, I reflect on his joke. It was about reading a lot of books, recursively reading books or something like that. And I thought about this thought that a lot of people often have, I think, that you cannot read that many books IRL in your life. If you say you live 100 years max, let's say, and the way we read math and science text, right? Like if you take a Springer book, and even if you would you don't, but even if you would dedicate your time to it and you work through it, you certainly, if you take a 500-page book about C-star algebras, you cannot really generally go through it. I don't know, I say some number like in 2 weeks. It's not really, I mean, you can get a lot of information out of it in 2 weeks, but it's not like you generally read all the pages, do the exercises, understand the exercises. I mean, it depends where you are, but it's like hard. You cannot read, let's say, let's take this arbitrary number, 2 weeks. And if you calculate how many books can you actually read in in the next 10 years, in the next 40 years, then you get some relatively small numbers. Like, I don't know, let's say the number comes out to be 3,000 max. Then you realize, however, every day several books are published. So it's amazing to me that I even know stuff in a sense, given the fact that I couldn't even have read so many books or talked with people. And now I had this thought. I was melancholic about, in the next 10 years, I cannot even read 300 books properly. This already would be a high number. In practice, actually, you only read a book every third day, and then you read only 7 pages of some Springer book. You don't get even close to these numbers. And I was melancholic about this. And then the interesting thing, however, and this is sort of my insight. This is not really worth this 20-minute video, but then in how I talked with him, I realized that he seemed to be seeing books just different than me. He was basically all these retorts, all these responses to me, were framing books as a means to an end sort of thing. First he was saying, books get you study something, you get stronger in the subject. The next book will be easier. If you would read basically the book of the same difficulty level, you would go faster through it, and you don't even have to read so many books because they contain the same content. And so, I mean, in principle, valid point. But I was saying, firstly, as the first retort to that, sure, but you don't read books on the same level. Probably, you read an introductory book, then you read like a immediate book, and then you read a harder book, and so on and so forth. So the difficulty of the books for you stays roughly the same because you choose more difficult books, from an advancement level. And then instead of agreeing with that, I suppose logically agree with that, but then he was saying but mathematicians get to their they don't just read books. They get the knowledge out of it, and then they make research and these kind of things, turn it into something. And it was at this moment that I realized that here the book is framed as a mean to an end. It's not like, because what he says is basically you do other things, but doing other things is exactly making the problem actually worse, because you can read even less books. You will die having read less books because you're also doing research. And of course, making something new is super enjoyable. It's not like competing with enjoying books, but just the fact that you also do something else, and then not, even going beyond science, you do even more things, that makes it just more painful. You cannot experience all these things, and I want to read all the books. I want to read the books. I literally I did a lot of in the 3 years ago. I really need into constructive mathematics. I really understand things a little bit better than I did before. I really learned something. I grew, and now I want to go back and read like a undergrad book on analysis. I want to read it. I want to take it apart. I want to see it. Or how does it look in second order logic? How does it look in the model in some set theory? How does it look in category theory? And I want to take the easy book and the hard book. And I want to read books about photosynthesis. And they have a book of somebody who has only basic math knowledge. And I want to see, how does the more advanced math fit over it? In a little bit in the way like in Wegener was playing around with representation theory when they come up with this. And I want to read 2 books of the same difficulty. And if I am an expert in the subject, I don't know, I'm think of myself as a person in statistical physics, even if I do geometry and computer vision as a job. I want to take apart all the popular classical mechanics books and write it down and formulate it and see how the things translate into one another. And of course I want to do novel things. I want to do novel research. I want to do machine learning. I want to do some number theory. I want to do some analysis. I want to do some category theory. This is all because it's also beautiful subjects. And so to say the books get easier, and so you don't have to read the easier books. And also, he said the formulation was something along the lines of the mathematicians, like day-to-day work or something, would more he gets something out of the books and then makes the research out of it. Yeah, I mean, as I just said, this is sad because you don't get to read all the papers. I want to organize paper reading. I want to see the patterns in all these papers. Like so many papers are published, you have to do a selection. But I want to see the pattern. I want to see all the fields, what is the common structure there. And I like a good paper, like a good book. I don't really smell books unless they smell old, and I find it curious myself. But there's just something, it's like a part of life. It's like, it's like, I like to say that it's like a little bit like smelling or having sex or hearing. A lot of science subjects are like that because I think they're sort of part of life. Smelling is part of life. Even if you don't die, if you don't do it, right? They are not like eating or breathing. You can do without knowing what a Turing machine is. machine is. But I think you basically have not really lived if you don't know what a Turing machine is, because there's just so much beauty in it. And yeah, that means of course a lot of people have not really lived, but I would stand by that. I think everybody who came before Turing, they missed out. Okay, so this has been going on for far too long. I'm not sure if I made my point. I would really love to hear your comments on that, if you made it this far. I'm personally running around listening to stuff, I listen to more YouTube videos than I watch them. So for me that's sort of the optimal video, although people probably don't do that in general. But I think that it might be a valuable video. You know, some of the videos on my channel, like I made this review of Gilmore Girls. I think it was a brilliant video. I think that I put some thought into it, but because I used an AI voice, maybe people clicked away also. If you haven't watched that, watch it. I think it's a good video. I make a point there, which has to do with academia. Okay. Good night.